Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be drawing Loki as Krampus. In the run up to Christmas, I'm going to be drawing lots of drawings like these and uploading them onto this channel, so make sure you click the subscription button and the bell notification so you don't miss any of those uploads. As with most of my drawings, I start with a rough body proportion and positioning. This position was going to be quite a simple one, just a straight back and arms behind his back. I felt that this would fit the character very well, because they're both very mischievous and very sly. The simple positioning meant that I could very quickly move on to blocking in some sort of clothing, just to get my ideas for what he's eventually going to be wearing. Once I'd drawn in his trench coat style cloak, or I'm not sure what it would be called, but once I'd drawn that in, I moved straight onto his face. I knew I wanted this face to be one of Krampus's, because Krampus's face is one of his main features, very devilish, like long fangs, very wild and bestial. So I knew that that was the face I wanted. A very wild, wicked smile, and very angry eyes. I also knew I had to include Loki's horned helmet, because that is a very iconic thing that Loki wears. With my first try of the helmet, I found it quite difficult to get how it was, but then I just looked at some reference and made sure that I properly depicted what his helmet's like. Then I just drew that a bit clearer, and I made the horns slightly less curved, because Krampus has these very sort of slowly curving horns. And then, if you've ever seen depictions of Krampus, you'll most likely have seen him with his tongue out and a long red tongue. Once the head and the face were properly drawn in and how I liked them, I moved on to the clothes, adding further detail into all of the bits of flowing fabric or lots of different interweaving sections. One thing that I often do is I only draw in one side of the character in full when I'm drawing pencils, so that I can just move on to the line art quicker. I find it helps my process move along quicker, and I like that. Then I moved on to drawing in Loki's staff, or one very similar to it. It was going to be much simpler because Loki's staff, especially in the movies, is very complicated, and I didn't want to spend all the time going into it in extreme detail and then it not looking very good in the end anyway. Then I moved on to line art. I started with the head, making all of the things like the helmet especially, and the facial features and structure much clearer. I especially enjoyed doing the teeth in the mouth. I just liked doing the fangs, and I thought they were pretty cool. Once I was happy with the head, I moved down to the clothes. For this character in particular, I really liked the clothes. I felt that, especially in the line art stage, that drawing them in made the character feel much more full and much more bold and like it could actually exist. I'm just continuing to add the layers of detail and structure to this character to make it look as real as possible. With most of the characters I draw, I find that doing the clothes makes them much more real. Even though I'm not going for realism in this style, it just makes them much more almost tangible and relatable even. As I was saying, I just wanted the Loki scepter to be much more simple in design compared to the one in the movies. And I think it turned out well, and it looked like Loki's scepter in the end, which is what I'm really trying to get across. Then I move on to markers. I decided that I wanted to use a dark green, almost bronzy colour for most of the cloak. I felt that this would make it look a lot like Loki, as he usually wears dark greenish coloured clothes. I also knew that using this dark green wouldn't be bad because it's an overcoat and it would act as a border. And also, I know that these markers dry get lighter as they dry over time. With this first layer of colour, I was trying to just block in the separate pieces of colour. This would just help me visualise what I needed to do design-wise and where I should add highlights and pops of colour to make the whole character unified in one design. So after I finish the entire coats, I go in and I add lots of the gold bits, like his staff and also his helmet, and also this sort of gold thing on his chest. I'm not sure what it is, but it looked pretty cool. I also do the hair, as that is another big part to this character. Krampus has long, shaggy hair, and it covers most of his body, including his feet, which he has hooves, which is why this character has hooves. Then go into his undercoat. This was much more, I was going to put it much darker. I just felt that it would fit as Loki. Lots of his clothes, there's sort of a dark undercoat or something like that. And so I just went in with a flat coat of the colour. And then I added some lighter sections of fabric, like for his trousers and this band across his waist. I went in and did some rough shading, then decided I was just going to put a couple of more layers over each of these brighter bits, because I felt that that would make the two browns closer in colour so that they weren't standing out from each other too much and drawing your eye too much. I then added these dark green trims, or slightly lighter, almost cyan coloured green trims. I felt that these would just tie lots of the piece together as they run throughout the entire character. I also go in and add the red tongue. This was just a very bright pop of colour right at the top. And once I've done all of the flat base coats, I move on to the shading. This would really make the character look much more 3D in its design. I start off with the biggest part of the shading, which was the overcoat, just doing a general colour, like same colour, just dark places, then moving on to the metal bits. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and watch other videos that will be coming in the next couple of days. I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll end it with a shift through the entire piece.